Tighebo here. We're back with more Five Nights with Harry by Harry Hertz, and we are on chapter 26. Last time when we left off, I believe something unfortunate happened to Umbridge, so she's no longer about. So, but yeah, let's just get right on into chapter 26. And if you want to follow along, just link to it will be in the description below as always. Now let's get started. Jess was curled up on the couch reading and glancing outside every once in a while. Besides the couch, her brother sat against the wall watching the television with Opal in his lap as the two cuddled. Oh, these are all the guys, the animatronics from the restaurant that they found Sonicer in. So, yeah, anyway. Finally, the Tyrannosaurus animatronic had enough and sighed. Stop worrying so much, Jess. With a frown, the wolf gave him a look. I just want to know what they're doing here. Doesn't help that I'm worried about Harry. Shaking her head, Opal chuckled. They're not bothering anyone but us, Jess. Neither Lisa nor Erica noticed them. Before Jess could comment, they heard a door upstairs slam and thumps from someone's feet coming down the steps. Then a pissed-off Michelle entered the room. Who the fuck is making all that racket outside? I swear that I'm about to kick someone's ass in a minute. There was silence before Jess raised a finger. You can hear them? Snarling, Michelle continued to walk through the room, not noticing the wide-eyed stares on the animatronics. Of course I can! If I could get any sleep, they're making it impossible with their partying. A shared look, and the animatronics got up to follow Michelle. When she entered the kitchen, Chelsea and Rebecca jumped a bit and stared as Robbie and Andrew looked up from the comics they were reading. The blue rabbit blinked and glanced at the following animatronics. Michelle? What are you doing? Though she was pissed, Michelle calmed herself down a bit. I'm about to go and have a chat with some noisy people. Coughing, Theodore attracted the other animatronic's attention. She can hear the people outside. Wide eyes met him, and they glanced to see Michelle charge out. Okay, enough of this racket. However, what met her was the sight of a group of ghosts on horses, some of whom had their heads tucked under their shoulders. After a few moments, one of them turned to another with raised eyebrow. I say, I do believe that she can hear and see us. Nodding, the ghost spoken to stroked his beard and caused his head to wobble. Indeed, but I cannot sense much magic in her. Must be a squib. As they talked over her, Michelle got angrier and angrier. At least now that I didn't imagine all those things I saw as a kid. Walking up to one that looked like he was a leader, she jabbed her finger into his face. Leave and go somewhere else. I've got a night shift tonight, and you bunch are keeping awake with all your noise. Mutters about how rude she was could be heard before the ghost sniffed. Do you know who we are? We are the Headless Hunt, and you, young lady, should learn some manners. He then gestured around him. We go where we want. Now then, go back to your abode. It was then that Michelle's emotions, already stormy from worry for Harry and a lack of sleep, boiled over. Growling, she reached towards the ghost who smirked, as he knew she would just go through him. In fact, he could not wait to see her expression from a sensation of cold she would get. So it was much to his surprise that she managed to grab him by the shirt and nearly yank his body off his horse. Due to that, he wasn't able to react in time, and his head fell off his shoulders, only to be caught by his hair by Michelle. You listen here. I don't give a fuck who or what you are. I live here, and you don't. She ignored the gasp and shocked looks from the ghost as she continued. That means when I tell you to leave, you do so. Despite his shock and disbelief, or maybe because of it, the ghost sputtered. Hand me this moment, you harlot. Slowly, a grin formed on Michelle's face at those words which caused a smirk of unease in the ghost. Unhand you, huh? Flustered, the ghost glared. Yes. The The grin on Michelle's face widened as she waggled the head in her hand. You want me to unhand you? His eyes wide, he snarled, Yes, you worthless Go. All Michelle did was shrug. Okay. She then dropped the head, and as the body went to grab it, her foot lashed out, before it impacted the side of it and punted the screaming, ghostly head across the yard and over the hedge at the end. Clapping her hands as the body rode the horse towards where the head was, she fixed a glare onto the other nervous ghosts. Now then, anyone else want to argue with me? For a moment, the ghosts all shared a look. After all, they've never had never seen one of their own manhandled before, and by someone who seemed to have little magic to boot. Then one of them coughed and cleared his throat before he stuck his nose in the air. Well, I never. Such rudeness in the living these days. We shall be taking up business elsewhere. Turning with a smirk, as the ghosts all rode off, Michelle raised an eyebrow at the expression of the animatronics. What? It was Andrew who put to words to what they were thinking before he grinned. That was so awesome! Waving it off as she tried to ignore the heat in her cheeks, Michelle shrugged. Those guys got on my nerves. No one talks to me like that. A laugh caused her to look up onto the roof of the house where Faith sat, her legs dangling over the side and swinging. Nice one, Michelle. Glad to see that all that time on the American football team at your old school is still paying off. That only caused Michelle to scratch her cheeks. Thanks. Standing on and stretched her arms out before she headed back inside. Now, if you excuse me, I need to get some sleep before my shift if I can. See you all in a few hours. Mike looked up from his newspaper as Michelle practically pranced into the kitchen early in the morning. Well, someone seems happy. Looking up from where she was pouring herself a drink, Michelle grinned as she tucked some hair behind her ear. Tired, but happy. I actually talked with Harry last night. That caused everyone besides Mike and Faith to perk up as Lisa wrung her hands some more. Is he okay? What's going on there? Holding up her finger, Michelle rapidly grabbed some eggs, bacon, and sausages before she shoved them between 2 pieces of toast. He's okay, exhausted from both what happened and the questioning after. But, okay. She took a bite of her sandwich and chewed before she continued. He told them that, as he saw the spell heading his way, he threw himself into a side passage there and must have got knocked out. Harry thinks that Madame Bowes and Dumbledore both suspect that he wasn't telling the full truth, but there's nothing that says he wasn't. As the group gave relieved sighs, Eric bounced a bit from one foot to another as he looked at Michelle. Aunt Michelle, do you know what Mommy is coming back from watching Uncle Harry? With a smile, Michelle ignored her father's choking reaction to an animatronic calling her aunt, as she answered. She'll be back later in the morning with Rose taking over. I don't think that either of those two will be letting Harry out of their sights until they can make sure it's safe. Vicky, though, walked up with a worried expression on her face. You sure that he's okay? We both know how Harry can get. A laugh escaped from Michelle as she shook her head. Yeah, Harry can be a stubborn asshole at times. Raising an eyebrow, Erica just snorted as she crossed her arms and winked at her longtime friend. Reminds me of someone. She glanced at Mike. And the stories that I've heard about another person as well. That got her a glare from Michelle before said woman grumbled and rolled her eyes. Anyways, her smile was back as she reached up and ruffled Vicky's hair, much to the enjoyment of the animatronic, who blushed via the lights in her cheeks. Harry's perfectly fine, and Veronica confirmed it. And, according to her, Harry won't be in any further danger from Umbridge due to the toad taking off. Glancing at her, Mike frowned before he shared a look with Faith, who simply shrugged, as she partially possessed him as he ate. Turning back to his newspaper, Mike grunted. After all I've heard and read, good riddance. Reminds me too much of what some folks I've known would do if allowed. He glared a moment later as Erica flicked him in the head. Language? We got children here. Faith snickered, and her voice could be heard a moment later. Yeah, we do. And the biggest one of them all is Mikey here. While her father grumbled about smartasses, Michelle finished her sandwich and frowned a bit. By the way, Dad, how long are you staying here for? Sipping his coffee, he glanced up at her. I've got a lot of time available at the moment if I want. One of the perks of owning the place that you work at. Work, after all, is being able to take as much time off as you want. Besides, Jacob is more than able to cover for the training bit. Interested a bit, Lisa looked over at him. How is your gym doing anyways? Anything new on that front? Frowning, Mike shrugged as he watched his daughter make herself another sandwich. Same old, same old. Some of you guys seem to have a talent for the ring, but not much. Maddie's got another championship, though. Taking another sip of his coffee, he glanced over at Michelle. As to how long I'll be here for, until I can be sure that it's safe. Though, from what I got last night when I called her, your mother might be showing up once she sorts things out with her job at the library. Stunned at the bit of news, Michelle nearly choked before she swallowed. Wait. Mom's coming here? Coming? Here? Seriously? All Mike did was nod as he turned a page. Yep. She's just as worried about you as I was. And she doesn't trust either of us when we say that everything's fine for some reason. Once more giving a snort, Faith shook her head at the two of them. Gee, I have not the slightest idea as to why that might be. I mean, it's not like either of you two have told her that and everything was decidedly not okay before. Grunting, Mike turned the page. It's one of those mysteries of the world, I suppose. Needless to say, a number of those were there snickered at that, and a flat look Faith fixed him with. Then they all laughed as he yelped, as Faith smacked him upside the back of the head. Having listened to Mung Douglas finish up his report, Abbas sighed and leaned back into his chair. Thank you for the information from no context, Mung Douglas. As always, it helps. Getting a nod from the man, Abbas then turned towards the tired ministry workers. I'm sorry to bother you, but do you have any information regarding the scandals rocking the ministry? With a snort, Tonks growled. Just if I ever see Ambridge, I'll kill her. Kingsley sighed a bit and rubbed his brow as he shared a look with Arthur. You and nearly everyone else. As to what is happening, in a word, it's chaos. Nearly every day is a new group of scandals for a number of higher-ranked officials. Pudge sent out an order to arrest Umbridge on sight, though no one has seen hide nor hair of her or whoever she has helping her. Not that he has much time, as he's trying to keep his head above water. Nodding, Arthur frowned a bit. The only higher officials not yet hit are myself and Amelia, as well as a few others. At the expression that was on Molly's face, he shook his head. No, Percy hasn't been hit as much besides what happened last year with the Tri-Wizard. If anything good has come out from this, it's that Cornelius is much too busy trying to save his career to help his allies. And considering the number of formerly missing war reports on people such as Malfoy has surfaced, we're seeing their influence knocked down. There was a grumble from Mad-Eye as he nodded. Aye, Bones asked me to come in and have a look. She's ripping at how a number of reports have gone missing. And yes, they've been clarified as authentic reports. Sipping from his glass, he shook his head. I still despise the one. But I have to admit, I am rather impressed with how many skeletons she knew about. As he considered taking a headache cure potion, Arthur shook his head. Her going mad took everyone by surprise. No one, though, noticed the flicker that went across Sirius's face. That said, the ministry has all but grounded to a halt. Cornelius is so busy trying to contain things and hunt down Umbridge that he's allowed the rest of the ministry to grind to a stop. I may have to be pulled off guard duty for Department of Mysteries with the amount of work I'm doing. Molly frowned. Dumbledore considered this, but nodded in the end. Perhaps we shall need to see what we can do in the coming days to prepare for such a possibility. A sigh escaped him as he turned towards Snape. Severus, what is Tom's opinion on the current situation? It says it, but that doesn't make sense. Anyway, stifling his fingers in front of him, Snape frowned. The Dark Lord, it seems as if of two minds in regard to what is happening. On one hand, the Ministry being in chaos serves his purpose quite well. After all, with the Ministry being ineffective, at best, it allows for him to lay his groundwork much more easily. In fact, even though he has not hinted at such, I suspect that he may use his current chaos to snatch the item. For several moments, Albus ignored the mutters and whispers at that declaration before he cleared his throat. And his other view? Grimacing, Snape shook his head. He is rather displeased at how his supporters and those that he has influence over through various means are the ones who are being targeted and the source of the chaos. It means that he currently has less ability to exert any form of influence upon the Ministry. Thoughtful, the headmaster leaned back and frowned. It seems that the current situation in the Ministry is both a cause of concern as well as a small boon. Until it calms down, though, we should become more vigilant. As Laura's Umbridge's current location is unknown to our knowledge. Snape simply nodded. The Dark Lord is attempting to track her down for capture. Having his unasked question answered only increased the frown on Dumbledore's face. As our whereabouts are unknown, I ask all members to keep an eye out. Having just returned from another group of meetings at the Ministry, Albus raised an eyebrow at the sight of the ghost of Gryffindor, Sir Nicholas D. Mimsy Porter, waiting for him. Oh, Sir Nicholas, how can I be of assistance? There was a pensive frown on Nicholas's face as he frowned. He shook his face as he shook his head. It's about the two spirits that have been following Harry Potter around. Dumbledore raised an eyebrow as he walked around to his desk and sat down at interest. I see. Have you seen anything troublesome from them then? Shaking his head, which caused it to wobble back and forth, Nick sighed. No, neither of them have shown anything more threatening than they already have. It's mostly that the other ghosts and myself are decidedly put off by their presence. They are not ghosts as we understand them, and while the Phantom Woman's not too bad, the other thing is much worse. A shudder ran down his body. It somehow gives off the feeling of anger, hate, fear, insanity. I'm not the only ghost that worries about it. Thoughtful, the headmaster furrowed his eyebrow. Have you seen them possess Mr. Potter at all? With a blink, Nick paused in his pacing. Possess? Well, I suppose that some of their actions seemed like it, but I thought that we were just seeing things. Frowning, he tapped his chin with a hum. Yes, it definitely does seem that way now that I look back on it. But how did you know? Leaning back in his chair, Dumbledore's sighed. Severus reported that there seemed to be a spirit that possessed Mr. Potter when he was giving him occupancy lessons, but there were no signs of such. As he frowned, Dumbledore put his hands in front of his face. When Madame Rumfrey examined him, she could find no signs as well, but there have been possessions before, though almost unheard of, which can grant things to the one being possessed. Nick straightened some. Truly? Despite the interest that the various portraits were giving him, Albus summoned a book to him and placed it onto the desk. Yes, in particular from beings known as shade spectres. Moving behind the headmaster, Nick looked down to see the picture in the book, which shows a being composed of shadow. It took me a while to find the information due to their rarity, but all signs point to the two beings that are following Mr. Potter being such. Interested, Nick looked down. It says here that shade spirits are something between the legendary shade and a spectre? Nodding, Dumbledore frowned. Yes, they are beings that straddle the line between a shade and a spectre, much like spectres themselves straddle the line between a ghost and a poltergeist. They are beings of shadow, much like their normal spectre kin, are able to possess non-living objects such as suits of armor. However, they are also able to possess the living. Thankfully, unlike with race, such possessors never truly harm those being possessed. In fact, they can give their hosts large amount of physical strength and durability. And like ghosts and wraiths, they were once living people. Except, unlike those two, they were level killed with a certain kind of dark magic involved. That revelation caused Nick to recoil with his eyes wide. Do you mean that Harry? However, the headmaster cut that thought off immediately. Oh no, Mr. Potter was not the one who created either of them, though I suspect that he did free them from the one who did, which may perhaps be why they are so protective of him. A sigh escaped him as he frowned in thought. No, I believe it's best to allow this situation to continue for now. Very little is known about them, but these two are highly protective of Mr. Potter, and sadly, you shall need all the protection that he can need for what is coming. Smelling something, Harry poked his head out of his bed curtains and smiled at the three animatronics that were there. Come on in, you three. A moment later, Rose, Veronica, and Vicky climbed in onto his bed and closed the curtains. Then Harry cast privacy charms over it before looking at the boxes and the bag that Rose had. Is that it? With a chuckle, Rose opened the box to reveal the pizza inside. Yep, one of Chica's special pizzas straight from the oven. Into the bag, she pulled out paper plates. Both Veronica and Vicky laid down beside Harry to give everyone room. After she placed the slice onto a plate, she handed it over to Harry, who gratefully took it. And here you go. Gratefully taking it, Harry inhaled the steam and let out a sigh. I love the house elf's cooking, but I really miss Chico's pizza at times. As he took the paper cup of soda and nodded. Wait, what? He took the paper cup of soda and nodded. Thanks. In the light provided by the wand he had placed himself at his headrest, Harry could just see the lips inside the golden Freddy costume turn upwards a bit. You're very welcome, Harry. So, you might get items from Chica besides pizza pretty soon. She's been working on learning some other recipes since. When we reopen, there's going to be more than just pizza on the menu. Having gotten her own slice, Vicky bit down on it. When she swallowed, she gave a grin. Yeah, she's pretty hard at work for it. Though at the moment, it's mostly the form of pizza ingredients like sausage and bacon. So she cooked pretty good. Oh man, you've got to try her breakfast pizza. It's amazing. After she chewed her own bite, Veronica nodded some as she lays back on the bed. I've been teaching her some of what I know of cooking different things. There was a surprise though. Seeing that Harry was watching her, Veronica smiled as she continued. Turns out that Chelsea has a real talent for baking. Give her a recipe and some time to work on practicing, and you'll find she'll make something amazing. That got Harry's attention as he polished off his slice and went for another. Really? She's that good at baking? A serious expression was on Rose's face as she nodded. Harry, she's proven good enough that Chica said if they're allowed to cook at the new place, she'll be leaving a lot of baking up to her. His eyebrows raising, Harry let out a low whistle. Now that is high praise indeed. It was that a smell hit him which caused his mouth to water even more. Is that... Slowly, Rose nodded with a chuckle. Chocolate tart that Chelsea made for you? It is. So save some room as she wants your opinion on it. While he grinned, Harry shook his head. That you can be sure of. Veronica sighed a bit as she looked at her paw. She certainly did not mind that her suit was repairing itself, and had already shed years' worth of decay. The dead woman had to admit it itched at times like nothing else. But Veronica shrugged it off and took a sip of her drink as she got more comfortable where she lay next to Harry. Other than that, not all, much, all that much interesting things on our end. Yours? Frowning, Harry shrugged a bit. With Umbridge gone, the Ministry was forced to bring an order until further notice. Not that I mind Professor Stacklebolt in the least. They waited until he took another bite of his pizza slice for him to go on. I've still been doing DA meetings, by the way. That caused Vicky to look at him. Really? I thought that with a proper teacher you wouldn't have them anymore. All Harry did was scoff at it. Blame Michelle. I mentioned it to her. She said that I should continue with it. After all, any little bit it helps. Not to mention that if they saw me take this seriously, then it might bring some doubters over to my side, having seen that. Jeanette frowned some. Though she could be right, as the whispers of me being crazy went down when I said that we were going to continue. A lot of them thought I was just going to stop. All Veronica did was reach across and pat him on the hand. That's a good idea. If it helps us survive what's coming, then I'm all for it. There was a cracking sound that caught their attention, and they all looked to see that Rose's costume broken ear had fully repaired itself. Wonder why we keep repairing ourselves here. She only got shrugs in return before the conversation returned to other topics. Walking into the formal auto shop out of the cold and damp early winter air, Erica shook her jacket before she hung it up. Behind her, Olive took off her little rain jacket and did the same as her mother before she reached down and took off her boots. Saying this, Erica bent down with the chocolate and helped her, which caused the otter animatronic to smile. Thank you, Bunny. As she patted her on the head, Erica smiled. You're welcome, honey. Making her way through a garage area, Erica paused, only to grab a cup of coffee and to glance around where various animatronic carts were placed on tables while Olive followed. She did wave at various members of the crew, though. Eventually, she managed to reach her destination, a cubicle set up in one corner which she knocked on. Davis, Lauren, you two want to see me? The two machinists shared a look before Lauren gave her a nod. Yeah, we've got something that you might be interested in. See the tears look on Erica's face as well as Olive. She continued. You know how we've been looking over the various notes and journals that Fanfair had? With a grin, Erica chuckled as she nodded. Yes, boy, were you guys surprised. For a moment there, I didn't know if you were going to say or catching herself, Erica coughed. We'll organize everything right there. Once more, Laura and Davis shared a look. Very kind of amusement. After all, one of Erica's quirks was that she treated Olive like she was a little girl, which included clean language around her. Though the animatronic did act that way. Nonetheless, Lauren shook herself out of such fluence and scoffed. You try not having that reaction to be given the holy grail of animatronics. The guy, despite being utterly bonkers later on in life, was a genius. There's a reason why he's considered the Leonardo da Vinci of animatronic engineering. Coughing, Davis gave Lauren a small smile. Anyway, we were looking through these notes, and we came across something of interest. Apparently, small animatronics like Olive were only a Generation 1 design. He designed a smaller Generation 2. That caught Erica's attention, so she still reached down to gently stroke Olive's head as she guessed she would be uncomfortable to solve this topic. A smaller version of the puppet? Like Polly? However, Davis just shook his head. Not really puppets, these could walk around with ease, just like the larger version could. But they were even smaller. In fact, they would come up to her found our knee, the push trap. Erica interrupted him with a raised eyebrow. Push trap? All Laura did was snort. He didn't have the shell-like studying crew or the toys. Instead, they were placed into what amounted to large pushies. Issues being that the stuffing at times had a bad habit of getting trapped in the joint, and it needed to be manually removed. Hence the name. Waving a hand, Davis chuckled a bit. They were a limited run to create animatronics that people could have in their homes, but serviced by Fredbear's at the time. Really cutting-edge stuff for the 1970s. But they never took off, and the line was discontinued. Most went to employees and such. Too expensive and complicated for the time. That said, now, slowly Erica nodded some. Now, however, we can solve a lot of the issues with them. You're thinking of recreating the line? There was a grin on Lana's face as she nodded. Well, yeah, sure, your average person can't buy them, but we can sell them in stores and such for display purposes. Bit of extra revenue, and once we hammer out, maybe we'll sell them ourselves or license a version to be used as toys. Years away, mind, but still. For several moments, Erica thought it over before she began to nod. I could see where something like that might be a good idea, might even become popular enough. Still, something more for after we've completed the work we've already had on our plate. The current electronics all these people prepared fully and upgraded, and that's going to take almost all of our attention. Nodding, Laura frowned. No, yes, but we can still work on it in our free time. The whole idea is pretty damn awesome. Only to work if we can make them. Raising an eyebrow, Erica hummed. I'm not quite sure of this. There's still a lot of work that you need to get done. If you still want to, I'll support it as long as our more important stuff gets done in time. Slowly, a stubborn expression crossed over Lawrence Davis's face before Gordon answered. You can count on that. As she leaned against the cubicle wall and finished her coffee, Erica glanced towards Olive, who had wandered a few feet away and was playing with a suit head. So, how many devices did they have for these miscellaneous exams? When a closer look, Davis leaned back for a few moments. Well, we know of two at the moment so far. The first was based on the springtime student. He shuddered a bit at the thought of it, which is in itself an example of how insane, bloody brilliant, but insane Fazbear was. Laura then finished off. There were also another city based off of the design of what became of Freddy Fazbear, the animatronic himself. Those were nicknamed Fredlets, and was stored in the designer's background to be used in some contests. But then, the bite of 73 happened, well, with the murder of the young girl to suicide, it led to Fredbear's diner going under finally. That caused Erica to straighten up a bit. Friday 73? I haven't heard this before. The snort escaped Davis as he shook his head. Not surprising, really. Really, as only certain circles still talk about it. It wasn't the fault of programming like the bite of 77. What happened was that some asshole older brother decided to shove his younger brother's head into Fredbear's open drawers before it started its routine. Not even a minute later before anyone could get the kid out, Santa's night began its speed routine. Instead of losing the frontal lobe, the whole skull was crushed. Rubbing her arms, Laura shuddered in disgust. It was about a week later, after the kid took the coma, that he finally died. The day before the older brother was allowed to see him, and according to newspapers or clippings I saw, apologized. It didn't help him as he was charged with his brother's death along with his friends. Got sent to jail too, from what I remember of the story. Davis just nodded. One of those stories passed around the animatronic engineer community is an example of how dangerous they could be without proper safety precautions. Throwing her cup into the garbage, Erica only frowned. I didn't know about Rose being a Fredbear. I'd have begun to worry about the kid being there instead. And that's the end of chapter 26. So, I hope you enjoyed this chapter. If you did, leave a like, go leave a review. You can do that. You don't need an account. It just means you can't get a response back. So, go, leave a review. And once you do, come back, tell me what you think. But only leave a review. Otherwise, don't want to know. And be sure to subscribe. I upload new videos every Friday. And I will see you guys next Friday with a new video. Bye!